There's a type of childhood trauma that almost no one talks about. But if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or even the early 80s, there's a good chance you experienced it. And I'm talking about being forced to sit at the dinner table for hours, staring at food you hated until you finally gave in. I never did, by the way. It sounds small, and people laugh about it. But for kids like me, it was trauma. It was real trauma. I will never forget being told to finish my plate, a plate that was served to me, food that I didn't choose. Being told to finish my plate no matter what. It wasn't food I chose, like I said. It wasn't food I liked. It was food someone else piled on my plate, and I had no choice but to sit there and stare at it for hours. For me, the worst was liver. Dinner would be served at 6 o'clock, and I'd still be sitting there at 9 o'clock at night in front of that same cold gray piece of liver that I couldn't even stand the smell of. My brother figured out a trick. He'd cut it up into tiny pieces and swallow it like pills with his milk. I couldn't even do that because I hated milk too. If I didn't finish it, my father, my bully of a father, would have my mother wrap it up and serve it to me again later. And the message was clear: you have no control. You'll eat what I say you'll eat. I think sometimes I would manage to choke it down, but often what I would do is I would just finally have to give in. So I'd just stuff it in my mouth, and then I'd race outside and spit it in the bushes just to avoid gagging at the table. um, I think I tried to sneak it to the dog on occasion and probably succeeded in that. But it wasn't about food anymore. It was about power. And it ruined my relationship with food for a very long time. It made mealtimes really stressful, filled with dread, and it taught me that my choices didn't matter. And people still laugh about this. They tell stories about how they sat there until midnight eating peas as if it was some kind of family joke. But it wasn't funny. It was humiliating, it was stressful, and it wasn't healthy. Forcing a child to eat food they hate, it doesn't make them like it. It just makes them gag, it makes them resentful, and it's and gives them a feeling of powerlessness. And that is traumatic. That's trauma. My mom actually understood, but she didn't have full power, of course. She never made a big deal about food. And she was a great cook and a great baker, by the way, but if she baked brownies or cookies, she'd often leave out the walnuts because she knew I didn't like them. And she wanted me to enjoy them. Over time, I grew into liking a lot of foods I once refused, as most children will outgrow that, but still not liver. I still hate liver, and I still don't like walnuts. But, the point is, most kids will outgrow picky eating naturally if you let them. Respect works, force does not. I was watching a video recently of a mom who was eating a really healthy plate of food while her toddler sat next to her. At first, the toddler didn't want anything to do with it, but she was watching her mother eat it, and the mom just kept eating and enjoying her meal with no pressure, no punishment. And eventually, the toddler reached over and tried some and loved it. That child chose to try it. And because it was her choice, she wanted more. And that's brilliant parenting. That's respect. And that's how you build a healthy relationship with food. So if you went through this as a child, you're not alone. It wasn't discipline. It wasn't funny. It was trauma. And if you're a parent or grandparent now, maybe think about what you model at the table. Show kids what real joy with food looks like and let them grow into it at their own pace. I'd love to hear your stories. Did you go through this too? Please drop it in the comments. I want to hear about it. And I want to hear about other things, similar things that you went through. Let's talk about it, because the more we talk about it, the more we heal.